It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Founded by men of many nations and backgrounds.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have a liftoff.
Doom Nation, what's up? We are back here in the captain's quarters. As always, it's Skaggs and your captain, and you are listening to the Two Doom Men podcast. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. The subscribe button is right there. We can't make it any easier for you guys. Get the follows up, get the subscriptions up. We can do it. Like Fauci said, by following us, you are 30% more likely to avoid fake news.
Yeah.
So
leave us a review too if you can. Somebody left
Yes.
us a very mean review. I was sad.
really,
On,
where
on Apple Podcasts, but
I gotta
I'm
check
not
that
gonna-
out.
I'm not even going to get into that, but yeah, the reviews do help too in terms of like the algorithm or whatever.
Yes.
And that helps the podcast more than like
Yeah.
our dumb social media shit
Yes.
going on.
Yeah, make sure you leave those reviews on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all those. We appreciate them all. So let's roll into today's episode. What do you think? We're kind of off the cuff today.
Yeah, we're off the cuff a little bit. I wanted to give a couple of my thoughts regarding Memorial Day. First and foremost, thank you to everybody who's
Yes.
served and, in the military and fought in the wars.
Mm-hmm.
And especially, thank you, because Memorial Day is different. It's more for, people who have actually died or lost
Yeah.
their lives and, us remembering them. And, thank you also to, the families who had to, deal with that burden of, your
Losing
mother
someone
or your
overseas,
father,
yeah.
or your child. That sucks.
Yeah.
So I was, I was kind of just thinking about all this stuff. Yesterday, I went to a Memorial Day parade. I went there to go see our homegirl, Shane.
Yes.
She sang the national anthem at the Putnam Lake Memorial Day parade, and she killed it. Did a great job. I think I posted that on our Instagram page. So good job, Shane. And it was I have a different, I don't know, I can't explain it, but I guess because we've been doing the podcast now and I have a different view of things.
New perspective.
Or have more perspective on war and patriotism and the military and whatnot. And I was standing there watching the parade and all these soldiers come and say their pieces about them losing comrades and brothers and whatnot, and I just was thinking deeply about everything that was going on and the hoorah of everything, and it was just very interesting. First of all, let me ask you a question. What do you think is the last just war we fought?
I don't even. I mean, what was before World War I? Probably.
So you don't think World War II was even a just war?
No. There was people making money back then on it.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Wow. I thought you would have said World War II.
No,
but...
a just reason to get involved in a war, yes, very much so, World War II. But was there no corruption? Was there no inside planning or anything like that? If you call me conspiracy theorist, whatever, I don't feel like that was an up and up war. We got involved late in the game because there was money to be made late in the game or something like that. So
yeah, if you want a Monday morning, I kind of agree. And yes, it was the last almost just war.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'll say that even World War II, there's not even, first of all, a shot in hell. Any war after that has been needed or just in any way whatsoever.
Yep.
If you wanted to say that we had to stop communism from spreading, I understand that point, but it makes no sense because if communism is so incredibly terrible, it would have just collapsed on its own without us having to waste, lives and money on it.
Right.
But with World War II, obviously Hitler was evil. We need to take him out because he was, disgusting. The Japanese, they weren't perfect either. They did attack us, but at the same time, we were kind of we were kind of like fighting economic warfare against them and like limiting their resources and their supplies. And on their part, it was almost like, well, we kind of got to attack them because if we don't now, we never will, and they'll eventually be able to beat us. Doesn't justify what they did. But all this this way of doing business, and like there's money to be made and screw over other countries so we can always like influence what's going on in that part of the world, which is none of our fucking business. Has been going on for a long time.
It's I'm glad you brought up like the stop the spread of communism. So you're talking about the Cold War, right? It's always been the boogeyman.
Right.
We had,
that's the way I'm starting to look at things.
When there was Hitler, whether this was a just war or whether there was any corruption or money to be made, there was a living, breathing, tangible boogeyman that you could point at.
He wasn't a boogeyman. He was the demon, the real demon that needed to be slain.
And so then that was easy to justify that. But then there's the Cold War. Okay, if communism is so bad, it'll just collapse. Okay, where America, communism could spread wherever it wants, it's not going to spread here. We had the boogeyman. Then we had, then fast forward, I guess there was some boogeyman for Desert Storm and stuff like that.
Well, it was, Saddam.
Yeah, and right. Then once 9/11, we had the weapons of mass destruction, boogeyman. Right. And then now here we are with COVID, another boogeyman. Yeah. And now white supremacy, another boogeyman.
Yeah, I'm thinking like back to my original question. Like you got to go all the way back to like the Civil War. Maybe is the last just war we fought, and that was against ourselves. And it was to free the slaves and to try to preserve the Union against and it was also economic. But boy, man, after the Civil War and I guess really around, I see a lot of libertarians talk about. Woodrow Wilson was like the worst president ever.
Really?
Because he like got us into the First World War, which got us like involved in the never-ending beefs between the European powers and like a whole bunch of economic stuff too, which I don't understand yet. I'm learning though, libertarian, so hang in there. I'm working on it. But ever since like around that time, boy, it's just like something changed.
There was money to be made,
and it's not a negative at all on any soldier, right? The way I was thinking about this while this parade is going on. And I'm listening to these guys talk is like, these are all good people. These are all people who believe in like our community. And it was nice to actually see for once, and especially in like nowadays, the way everybody like hates each other and so divided. It was nice to see like this little town's community like come together and like talk and like hang out and be excited. No mask for the most part. And like give thanks to people who like did something. Even if like, they did it for the right reasons, like the soldiers, even if the politicians who created these wars, were not for the right reasons. I respect any person who puts himself on the line, even if that, like, they don't, you know what I mean? They're doing it for the right reason. They're not the ones that chose to start the war.
They're fighting this farce.
Right,
right,
like
exactly. They still went and did it.
Like, one of the craziest things that stuck out to me at this parade was there was a Master Chief there. And he spoke and he fought in Afghanistan and Iraq. He lost friends, etc. And he was just talking a little bit about that, and like everybody thanked him or whatever. After it was over, and after the whole parade was over, and like the crowd dispersed, me and Shane and my wife, we were all like standing around. The Master Chief comes up to Shane and it's like, "Thank you so much. That was amazing. You're the national anthem. That was beautiful. You did a great job. Thank you so much." And I was just standing there like, I didn't know what to say, like bamboozled. I'm like, he's thanking us or he's thanking Shane? He's thanking for a fucking song. This guy put his life on the line multiple times, and he's over here thanking Shane for singing a song. You know what I mean? Like, wow, what a person. You know what I mean? Like that, the guy loves America so much. A beautifully sang rendition of the anthem. He had to go out of his way to thank someone who sang it. That like stuck out to me, and I was like trying to say thank you, but I couldn't even my like lips were sealed. I couldn't know what to say.
It costs nothing to be nice, I mean, they have, he has a certain discipline about him that his perspective on life and everything, like in our grand scheme of things, like the show is important, the house is important, your career is important. He has lost and seen so much loss that like a beautiful, rendition of the national anthem on Memorial Day is like the good part of his day. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's living presently and like he knows to have that type of perspective. Like, so he's cherishing, I guarantee you, he's probably one of the most thankful people on the planet. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard when,
like when you're seeing bad things, it makes you more appreciative.
I mean, you look at,
things.
just not even to like really get off of it, but like you look at like these, these blue cities and stuff that are just so overpopulated, like Manhattan, where you just go downstairs and you got your bodega there, you got McDonald's there, you got Starbucks there, you got Grubhub, you got Ubers right outside your door. Everything is so instant and you don't even look at anybody. You don't interact with anybody. You don't lose anything. You just are given everything as fast as humanly possible to get you moving. And that's somebody who, wouldn't even look at this guy the way, but where you see now from his perspective, he understands like it's the small things to count on.
I think also there's something big about leaving America and going elsewhere in the world where things are very bad.
Yeah.
And it gives you perspective, like we were saying before.
Yep.
I've never fought in a war, but I did go to South Africa, and boy, I saw poverty there. And I talked to people. I love, what do? We talk to people, right? It's our job here. I talked to like every person I possibly could in South Africa, just like, to get like their experience. And like, man, they have it tough. Like a lot of them running away from other countries where there's like warlords just killing people and shit. And although they have it bad in South Africa, they're like, at least I'm not dead.
Yeah.
And like over here, no one's just trying to mow me down at all times of the day.
Yeah.
And like that shit will put in your perspective. And I take those conversations and lessons, and I come back to America. I'm like, it's pretty fucking good here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
all the people who want communism, please go pick a communist culture and go live there for a year.
Those sort of people have never left the country.
Yeah.
I guarantee you. Though.
Yeah.
They're like in the, they're like little
or
college
when they
bubble.
did leave the country, it's to like the Cancun resort,
Right.
and they don't see anything outside of Senor Fraud. It's basically American resort on foreign
Right,
soil.
or they,
soil
like them going on vacation was to like one of our like imperialist,
Yeah.
Like colonies, basically like Aruba
Yeah.
or something, which is basically like America 2.0. So definitely the whole thing just was like I was reflecting on like the loss of life that seems like all these wars, all these guys, all these good people, women, guys, like the greatest generation lost their lives for like stupid fucking reasons.
for the elite.
You know what I mean?
They were
And
pawns.
yes, stopping Hitler was for a good reason, but
Yeah.
even in a larger scale, like Hitler, people, humans, what a fucking scumbag. Like the fact that people need to kill each other over stupid
we're the
shit like that.
Worst species on the
Yeah.
planet. There's
Yeah.
no
So-
other species that wants to mass extinct
Yeah.
a portion of their species.
That's why the aliens, dude, they observing from like a distance. They're like, man, we're scared of these fucking
Yeah, I can't-
these
they don't even
monkeys-
like each
these
other.
monkeys with guns, right? They might start shooting at us.
Yeah. So it was good to see on social media there is a disconnect because a lot of people, Memorial Day weekend to them is just a long weekend. We partied, we
Enjoy the long weekend.
Yeah. I was getting
Yeah.
into this.
I hope you guys all enjoyed
Yeah.
the long weekend.
Yeah. But I did see a presence on our page and, on our timeline. But the problem is it's probably the algorithm that, we're locked into because Instagram and Facebook shadow bans everyone. But there was a lot of people out there trying to remind others that, like, this isn't just a long weekend. And I liked and enjoyed seeing that on social media because here's a couple of hundred or 1,000 just regular everyday people like us who we talk to, like when we talk to people when we're out, who knew the meaning of Memorial Day weekend, who knew this is a weekend of remembering fallen soldiers and why this is the land of the free. And then you get Kamala Harris, the VP. Enjoy the weekend, guys.
Yeah, enjoy the long weekend.
Yep, and
She had to backtrack after. She realized she
and
messed
Joe
up there.
Biden too with "Stay cool this weekend, folks." And then so that was Joe Biden's tweet, and then on the POTUS page there was a whole Memorial
The
Day.
way I
like,
look at
just-
that is like you when you're the VP or you're the president, you're not afforded a misstep.
No,
ever, right? But at
no.
the same time, to maybe give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, they did tweet that on like Friday. Maybe they meant to tweet the Memorial Day thing on Memorial Day, and they were just being nice.
I don't know.
Right.
I know.
And then there's people saying, well, no, they knew exactly what they're doing, and they're trying to like, just like forget about like the past because the past is racist and it's the worst and we're the devil and everything's evil, which we're kind of also saying, but for different reasons here.
I mean, I don't disagree with those people that they knew what they were saying. You know why? Because, look, we're not going to even talk conspiracies right now. We're just going to look at the playing field. The left, the Biden administration, the reasons why people voted for Joe Biden, there's all this agenda there. We know that the left has its do's and don'ts. We know, what they stand for. And this isn't a weekend that they stand for. They've made that clear. Trump was interested in bringing home the troops. Biden screwed that deal up immediately.
Well, so did the Pentagon itself and the military-industrial complex. Lied to him about troop levels.
Exactly.
The post I put on our thing was, none of them had to die.
No, none of them.
End the wars and bring them all home. That's the same way I've always felt, and
Yeah, and so I feel like they've painted themselves in this corner that it is no longer America first, that it is America last. I mean, Biden cut down that, ended the Keystone Pipeline, and now is speedlining a pipeline in Russia.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, but you're no longer afforded a misstep. You've set the precedent. We know what you're about. And if you're going to start off Memorial Day weekend in that manner, then I'm taking it as that manner. You've set your own agenda.
I see what you mean. Yeah, I get it. We're in a culture war, right?
Oh,
and
yeah.
There's no, at this point, that side, and I don't even want to call it like the liberal side. I don't know what it is. It's the authoritarian, crazy side, the woke side. They're not going to ever afford you any second misstep or second guess or anything. So I get it. When sometimes you got to fight fire with fire.
Yeah, you set your own parameters. We know the military is not on the just like
the military is on their checklist to do, but they have to first make sure they have to vet for supreme loyalty to party, which is what they're doing across the military. In general right now, like with the National Guard asking them all those questions about like who did you vote for, going to their Facebook to see if they liked Trump. Like that's very that's very communist like. It's not an American thing to do. Soldiers are allowed to have their personal opinions. They just can't express them while they're in the service or anything like that. And they still have to follow orders. If Joe Biden does say go over here and attack people, we have to fight this war, you got to go. It doesn't matter if you don't like Joe Biden or not, because that's your job as a soldier.
And I agree with that. But there was I want to say like a colonel or a captain or someone of decent rank. It wasn't no low-level ranking officer of Space Force spoke out against Marxism, and they relieved him of his duty.
Yeah, or critical race theory.
Yeah.
Too, and they kicked him out. Isn't that crazy?
No.
So that right there, the fact that they kicked him out because of speaking against Marx, it was Marxism.
Yeah,
It was Marxism, I think, and critical race theory. Maybe.
But
it was primarily Marxism.
Yes.
I'm starting to remember more of it now. The fact that a member of the military spoke out against Marxism as communism, and they kicked him out of his job or whatever, that is very telling. What is that?
Yeah.
Are they not willing to offend communists, or are they communists?
Yeah.
Right now, oh God forbid you criticize the party, we'll cast you out.
Yeah. And it's funny because like the Q people have been bringing up McCarthy.
McCarthyism. Yeah. Are you familiar with McCarthyism?
I know what he did when he went on those rampage trials.
Let me give a brief, because this is important, right? A brief history. I think it was a Congressman McCarthy. He basically said every single person in the government is communist. And it got crazy because that was not true.
Right.
And it becomes like almost like a Salem witch trial type thing. And, like you disagreed with McCarthy, communist. The same way the left now says everyone's a Nazi. It's the same exact thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So there was the ongoing joke, like you just proved him right.
Right. I see that.
This guy's a maniac, but now you proved him right.
All these years later, maybe we could use a McCarthy. Maybe.
Yeah.
Nowadays.
Just maybe Trump's the McCarthy. I don't know. He's a psychopath.
Maybe. Did you hear about General Flynn, your buddy?
No.
What he said the other day? You didn't hear about this.
Where are we going with this? I have no idea.
Boy.
I might have heard it. I just don't know what you're talking about yet.
Sorry, folks. I'm gonna get some thing here.
Oh, is this about Trump being reinstated in August? Because that's the craziest thing I've
No.
been stumbling
So
upon.
Flynn, General Flynn, he went to like a political meeting,
been-
like rally thing of like people like
Yeah,
people
there's
say
a
it's
whole.
a QAnon rally, but it's not really. It's
No,
like a
there's-
bunch of people.
So basically, what like General Flynn and Linwood and Sidney Powell, all the big Trump key players that got famous in during Trump's administration, where they're all a household name. Unfortunately, they are basically just doing their book tour. You know, like after
Right.
Obama got
Yes.
out of office, he
Yeah.
went and spoke for $100
Right.
grand here, $100 grand there.
There's popularity.
This is what. So these are like Republican rallies, we'll say. I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't
they're
think
hard to
they're
understand.
Q fucking meetings or anything, but
So what happened was he was at this thing, and someone brought up to him. Someone asked him a question and brought up to him. They were like, in Myanmar, there was like like this rumor of like election fraud there, and they had a military coup to overthrow the government because of the election fraud. He's like, and the person was like, well, why can't that happen here? And Flynn was like, yeah, it should happen here. All right, now we're getting a little bit crazy, right? Because first of all right, let's try and like break this down logically. He's not in any sort of authoritative position officially, right?
Right.
He's not in the military right now. He's not in the government at all. He's just a guy,
yeah,
right? But
Who
he
was a general.
He was a general, and he was the director of the NSA or whatever, right?
And he has
And
connections.
he has connections. And I watched the documentary on Q, and like the Q people love the guy.
Mm-hmm.
So he does have a following, let's say.
Well, he was the one that was persecuted for the
Yeah,
whole
he
spying.
was. No,
yeah.
Yes, he was. He was.
They
And
framed him.
So I'm going to criticize him here, right? And he has a freedom to say that if he wants, right?
Right.
But he also has a responsibility, right? Because number one, you could definitely get some crazy Q people now that want to somehow make another attempt to do something, like maybe a real insurrection this time. Because this guy says this crazy fucking thing. And number two, like if that was AOC who said that, I'd be lambasting her all day long, because it's you can't threatening people with a coup is violence. Is gonna the military is gonna overthrow the government and put Trump in. That's basically what he's implying here. You can't just do that, because are you gonna be the one, Michael Flynn, to go and like charge the steps with an AK or something?
Yeah,
no,
no,
you're
you're
not.
not.
You're gonna convince some idiot like the fucking Q shaman guy, and he's gonna have delusions of grandeur, and he's gonna charge the steps with an AK, and he's gonna get mowed the fuck down and killed. And it wasn't you, but you convinced some idiot loon, maybe, but by making a stupid comment. And at the same time, you have the right to say whatever the fuck you want, but it doesn't mean you should.
I think it was, irresponsible. Like, he does have responsibilities, but also in this day and age, I feel like no one in the public eye has any more responsibilities. They could do and say whatever they want. You just develop your own opinion about them.
Yeah.
I do think it was irresponsible, but I also think, I think General Flynn's going to lead a pack of wild animals to take over the administration and lead a coup? No, I don't. I also think, though, like in the setting that they're in, these people are now famous for this Q background. You know what I mean? Like, you can't be a
leaning into
dancing,
it.
yeah, you can't be a dancing monkey and get annoyed when they ask you to dance. You know what I'm saying? So he right now is, this General Q type of deal. He's
leaning into like playing the heel.
Yeah, this is what ups his likes. This, like, saying something like this, and it's grossly irresponsible.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. And I wouldn't be able to say if he has any nefarious reasons or anything like this.
To be fair, like I said at the beginning, he didn't just make this statement. Someone asked him.
Right.
So, put that out there,
So, like, I think it's like, like when you meet like Hulk Hogan, you're expecting, oh, brother, and the flexing and stuff. I think he gave them the answer that like they were expecting to get out of him. Like, yeah, we'll do a coup. Like, that's what's going to get the rise out of everyone. Still, terribly.
Yeah, I think
irresponsible.
This thing made me realize like nefarious. Like what you're saying. He's out on a book tour. He's looking to make money. He's looking to leaning into being the heel and make money off of it the same way that AOC is leaning into being the social justice warrior and a person for everybody and the working class person. But at the same time, she's, everything's about her ego. It's the same fucking thing. And
He's now a celebrity.
He's also now like he's on that side and AOC is on that side. It's like more of just the complete opposites. And now you have one literally threatening military violence against the other one, and it's just why
it's a world of just extremes. That's it. That's
and the
all
people
it is
who are
now.
like saying these things are not going to be the ones, like I said, storming the
They
steps.
never are. They never are going to be. Like when I said this on a previous podcast, if we don't get more independence soon, like we'll never get out of this, because all of Congress is just ran by the far left and the far right. Tyler Green and fucking
yes.
Yeah, but the people who have the way you rise through the ranks and get on TV and get the notoriety and get the backing
shit.
are the ones who, because there's every state. We can name a handful of governors and we can name a handful of senators and representatives and stuff like that. But I can't tell you all of my state senators, local and and in the House and so. There's tons of senators that don't say anything, but they can't get anything done because AOC has this many followers, Michael Flynn has this many or who would be somebody that's actually in Congress, Jim Jordan or I don't know, Tyler Green, Marjorie
Taylor Greene.
Taylor Greene,
Mm-hmm.
Taylor Greene, AOC. They both have these huge followings now. They're calling the shots. All these little people in the middle, they just have to pick sides. Or
are they though? You still have Nancy Pelosi like pulling all the strings, and they're not. Like the squad is
and
not
she's
getting
on one end of the spectrum too. All the people that have the notoriety and the pull are the ones that are in the mainstream media.
Yes and no. Would you say Marjorie Taylor Greene is in the mainstream media? She only is because they're demonizing her.
She, no publicity. Bad publicity is worse than no publicity.
Yeah.
The reason people are demonizing her is causing her to get more followers.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? People are liking her just because they, at this point, CNN is fallen it's like 70% down on viewership.
Right.
So if CNN starts to hate someone, we should probably just like they said with Joe Rogan, like if you're mad that Joe Rogan said don't get the vaccine, all the people that are angry are the people you shouldn't be listening to.
Right.
It's so okay. You tell me not to like her, I like her now. You tell me to like her, I hate her. We are too far out on extremes, and there's no one. If we could get libertarians or independents or Green Party or the whatever party, the Doom Nation party,
The libertarians.
If we could get anybody in there to just shake it up from the ground up, it would reel this all back in, because these people, it's all party lines now, identity politics. So all these small senators that don't have this big voice that, like a Schumer does, they're going to follow Schumer, or Schumer's going to do something to them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, all this you're making is a good point, and I'm starting to read that book I told you about, the Anarchist Handbook, which is not Antifa anarchism really, it's like libertarian anarchism, and I just really just scratched the surface, but it tries to make the point of like even like all this stuff, this apparatus of the state, these crazy people on this side, these crazy people on that side, they don't really represent you.
No.
You might think they do, or you might get a cult of personality or something like that, but they really don't represent you. And furthermore, like they don't have the right to represent you.
Right.
Like they shouldn't even be representing you at all. There should be the most minimal interaction between the state and people, so that like the most minimal possible to the fact you can almost not even see the government whatsoever. And the fact, like, basically, like, theoretically, they're trying to say, like, this will always happen with any government, any system of statism. It's immeasurably, you cannot control it. Everyone will get out of control, and everyone will, like, fall into these things of cults of personality.
That's why, I mean, even as a Republican, like, when we first started talking to Zach, he was like, I kind of see you more as libertarian, because I've always been in favor of small government. I hate the overreach. I hate that they have to get into every facet of society. One of my biggest beefs is with the Biden administration. Biden used spend where he is spending us into bankruptcy because he wants more government overreach so they could dictate what the country invests in.
Every facet of everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which, no, because you're not doing a good job to begin with. So even when you get this control, you're not going
Right.
to be doing a
Mishandle
good
it,
job.
right? If they were the best, if they were proven to do the
Yes.
best at everything, yes.
And I'm
do
not-
it. Spend as much money
Yeah.
as possible. Get involved in everything, but no,
Yeah.
it's completely opposite.
And-
the $6 trillion spending thing is terrifying.
Yes.
Because I don't know what it is. Maybe they are trying to literally just destroy the
Bankrupt us.
economy
Yes.
and the country. But if anyone has ever taken an economics class, and I did take a handful of them in college, and the professors tried their best to explain it to me, and I'm not a fucking economics expert, but you cannot just create money and
Right.
give it away. Like, that's not how it works. It loses its value.
Yeah.
Someone has to actually, money is just a representation of like labor and stuff. If you don't make anything, then the money has no value. That's why we're having a problem right now finding Xboxes
Yeah.
and PlayStation 5s, and lumber is like $900 for a 2x4. Everything is getting, and if you're just going to spend $6 trillion, that's going to multiply it.
Yeah.
Even worse. Even worse.
And it's all under the guise of we're doing this to help society. We're doing, we're going to help the little man. This guy gets $20 billion, but we're gonna give you another
Well,
2,000.
Jeff Bezos,
yeah, gets $10 billion.
He lost the contract on one of his space programs for NASA, and they're like, oh well, let's bail him out. Let's give him the $10 billion that he lost on it.
Which
Are you fucking crazy?
Yeah, the man-
he just made 70-something billion over the past year, while everyone else is
Suffered,
fucked.
yes.
Is getting fucked because of the COVID. So, let's give $10 billion of our tax money to the richest guy in the world.
yeah, I read
fuck outta
an article
At
today.
least. Sorry, one more
go
point.
ahead.
At least I've been very critical on Bernie lately. He's one of the only fucking people trying to stop that
Yeah.
from happening.
I read an article today in all the states that are putting an end, like Florida did it, and there's a few others that follow. They ended the unemployment extensions statewide. They decided to, like, in the last one, to cut it off.
Yeah.
All those states have seen an uptick in job searches and job employment. Because now people aren't getting paid anymore.
Yeah.
We keep extending it. My parents just got back from Atlantic City, and Jersey changed their policy over Memorial Day weekend. The mask mandate dropped if you're vaccinated, 100% capacity, indoor, no more plexiglass. Everything basically in the casinos back to normal. But it's not really going back to normal because their VIP club only opens up at 2 o'clock now and closes earlier. Why? Because they don't have enough employees to keep a shift running that long. Their favorite little cafe isn't reopening because they can't get enough employees to work a full day there. Because we're helping the little people so much that it ain't worth these menial little jobs.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you're getting unemployment, you're getting like around $16 an hour.
Yeah.
You're getting way more than the federal minimum, and you're not going to want to go work at McDonald's,
cafe, yeah.
and do a disgusting, terrible job for less.
Yeah.
You'd rather stay home or do something off the books
Yeah.
on the side. And it's a problem I'm facing myself, right? Like, I'm on unemployment. I've had a hard time finding a job for the past year. And I could take a just shit job and then I'd have a job, but it's not like what I went to school for.
Yeah.
It's not like what my experience and my level of education and
Yep.
stuff. Like, it'd be beneath, at least in my opinion, like my level of compensation or
But
whatever.
It's not even all just whether you still have to put up with the stresses of that position day to day when you could be making more, not just sitting down.
And the thing is with me, like, we've talked about this personally, like I've applied to hundreds of jobs
I know.
over the course of the past year, and just there's so many other people, because you can see on like LinkedIn and Indeed or whatever, like how many people
125 people applied.
I've seen 300 people once apply for a role. There's a lot of competition for all the good paying jobs, and that's because no one wants to take a job for less than the unemployment.
Yeah.
One of the thoughts I had recently was like, how do we fix this situation, right? Because if they were to just do what they did in Florida, like I try and put it into my own personal experience here, right? If they just cut off my unemployment, I'm in trouble now, like financially. So how do we fix the situation without like hurting people the way like that would hurt me? So I was thinking maybe they should do something where you could get a new job and you could still keep collecting the unemployment for a certain amount of time. So like, now you'll get back to work.
Right.
You'll make money from your new job, even if it's not what you wanted, but you'll have the boost from unemployment. People will get back into the economy and start making things, making Xboxes, making hamburgers at McDonald's, and that will like ease things back into normal. And then over a certain period of time, they take away that on a boost, and that also gives you like time to keep looking for a better job, and maybe just gets like psychologically people more back into like work mode.
I don't disagree. I think that's not a terrible idea.
Almost like a UBI thing.
I feel like there'd be some loophole that people would take advantage of somehow.
Yeah.
But it leads into my nefarious that the administration is just trying to bankrupt the country.
Right.
Because if you make it so good, people don't go back to work, things don't get made, things get more expensive.
You have
everything
to rely on
inflates.
daddy government for everything.
Yeah. And it's just creating this own. It makes the problem and presents itself as the solution.
Yes.
That's
That's been our theme for a few episodes.
It's
now.
really what I feel is taking place. You know, I mean, if we didn't want it to be this bad, we should have opened up the economy 100% long time ago before everybody got complacent.
Mm-hmm.
But no, we played the game.
Yeah, and there's the Great Reset, right? Like the Davos convention, and where they've talked about the whole world needs this Great Reset where they want to you want you to eat the cicadas and all this like weird shit. They seem to want to trend culturally like societal norms towards like less individualism, more about the community and the green, and all that stuff. And that stuff on its own is good. Like, clean stuff is good. But I saw somebody recently tweeted like community, commune, communism. Like they literally like the words in these things that like the Davos whatnot says is like trending towards that sort of shit.
But this is the problem. No individualism, all for the community. You think a real peaceful green community wants me in the community? What happens?
No,
then?
right.
You know what I mean? It's still
the beauty is in the eye
a
of the
division.
beholder. Like with Antifa, like you're all, they're all sunshine and rainbows until someone says something that they don't like, and then they hit you over the fucking head with a brick.
Yeah, exactly. So even they want to create these communities, but these communities are going to be tribes. It's what I mean. You're going to have to find the people that accept you. Like I said, we'll be refugees in Florida.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Not a bad place to be a refugee. No. Speaking of Antifa, over the past couple of days, there was a situation with them, which I just want to point out because it shows the hypocrisy of an organization like Antifa. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Andy No. He is a journalist, on-the-ground sort of reporter who's been covering Antifa and like their riots for a long time. He's an Asian guy.
Maybe. Is this where they're finally admitting like what's going on in Oregon is like horrific, or Seattle?
No. He's just a guy. Andy No. He's just a guy who covers Antifa, right? So over the weekend, there was like this whole rumor going on Twitter of people saying like Andy No was in, like covering the Antifa riot going on there, and people like attacked him, beat him up, like hit him over the head, and he was like hiding, trying to get away or whatever. And so the guy that was in the video was like masked, had goggles on, Asian guy, and it's like they don't even think that's really Andy No. Right. So it's like Antifa just picked some random Asian guy and attacked him because Andy knows an Asian guy. And it's like, these are the same people that are going to sell you the AAPI, etc. But because an Asian guy reports on just what they're doing, they attack some random Asian guy who looks like him. Yeah. These are the most inclusive, beautiful, sunshine and rainbows, LGBTQ,
beautiful mind
AAPI,
people.
Every fucking acronym you want to make up for your fake, woke virtue signaling. These are the people attacking random Asian people.
Well, they made it clear with Tim Scott when he spoke after.
The same principle.
Yeah. We only want to virtuously signal that we are for, everybody having equal rights. Of course, Black Lives Matter, and we have to stop the Asian hate. But if you're a black guy and you talk out against us, you're an Uncle Tom. And if you're an Asian guy that reports about us negatively,
we'll literally physically assault you.
Yeah. So it's
even if it's not that guy.
Yeah. It doesn't. It does. It's fall in line and listen.
Conform. Do what I say. It's authoritarianism.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because
obey.
It masquerades itself as anti-authority. Look, the name is anti-fascism, but it's fascism. And I think I haven't read it, but man, everyone was always pointing to that book, Orwell. George Orwell.
Where he predicted a lot of this.
And he predicted like a lot of this stuff happening. And he says like, the authoritarians will be basically coming. I don't know. I might be misquoting this or butchering this, but he's somewhat in it. He goes like, the authoritarians of the future are going to masquerade as anti-authoritarians.
Yeah, and it's truly what they can't see it.
No,
you know what?
You think
to be honest with you, I think they can. I've learned one thing, and I've been wanting to bring this topic up, and I want to see what you think about it. I think we're finally at the point now, because during the Trump administration, the media was very big on what it told you to do. Trump said this, don't like it. Trump did that, don't like it. Now Joe Biden's in, and they've taken a step back now. I really feel we're at the point now where people only just take orders from the media. Because something I saw a few weeks ago.
Some people, but good. Finish your thought.
De Blasio is refunding the NYPD. Now, a year ago, when they said we need to defund them, people were, yes, this is the greatest thing. What a great idea. We love this. We love this. Because the media had painted the police at that time as the bad guy. But now, here we are a year later, and we need the police. Police are good. Crime is up. We have to give them money. Where are all those people who loved this idea a year ago? Where's the outrage from them?
Where they are? Do you know where they are? They realized it was a big mistake. Do you know why?
I know they.
Do you know why
they're the ones that suffered?
No, because the more I've gotten into the libertarian anarchist world and start to understand their thinking, those people are authoritarians that were saying defund the police.
Right.
And, they paint themselves like the AOC is the social justice champion of the world, of unity, etc. But they're really authoritarians. And they realize, without the police, who's going to carry out our will?
Yeah.
Who's going to enforce our statism? Who's going to enforce our rule, our authoritarian rule?
Well-regulated militia.
No, but the well-regulated militia
the
would rise up against that thing. But they need the police. This doesn't mean police officers are bad guys, but just from like a theoretical point of view, they need the military. They need the state, the officers of the law of the state to carry out the law for them. AOC is not going to walk around and arrest people that's are not anti-racist.
Right.
Just like Michael Flynn is not going to be the one charging up the steps of the Capitol. They need that that enforcement mechanism. Yeah. And if you get rid of that, if you defund that, then you have anarchism, right? And now it's up to individuals again to regulate their own personal safety and whatnot.
So what I was getting at though with it was so probably people realize they need it because they're authoritarian, but also at the same time there's no outrage over it because the media didn't paint it that way. The media didn't tell you to get annoyed at this. The media told you this is a good idea and you accepted it. I really think we're at the point where whatever the media tells you to feel, we don't run on facts anymore. We run on straight feelings. And if the media tells you react this way, you will see that reaction. It's basically a giant game, as Simon says at this point.
But at the same time, CNN's ratings are way down. I think there's the propaganda loop.
Yeah,
and
I still believe
there are people in it
that the silent majority, or I believe what we see on mainstream media is a fraction of a percentage of what real Americans feel.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But I feel a fraction, man, we're just guessing here, but I feel like a fraction of people don't, they're not in this stuff as much as me and you or whatever other podcaster or your crazy Antifa liberal person or your QAnon person are in to all this stuff. All of us, let's lump all the podcasters, political commentary people, QAnon people, Antifa, libertarians. We pay attention to everything that's going on, and we're maybe 30% of everybody, and then the other 70%, they don't got a clue what the fuck's going on.
Definitely,
and they're just worried about the Yankees and the MCU. And there's nothing wrong with doing that, but they they're
complacent.
They're complacent, right? Yeah. And I guess you could say who's gonna win or who's gonna control everything is gonna be the fight amongst the 30%.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, no, I agree.
Sheep are gonna be led, I guess, right? Whether it's by just people who don't want them to be sheep and want them to live peacefully, or nefarious authoritarians.
I agree with that, but that was pretty well put, actually.
Even if like we don't like that everybody's sheep, but what
Yeah.
can we really do?
No,
like,
yeah,
when we
we're
try,
on-
right?
yeah,
we're on a
we're-
podcast and try
This
and
is
talk
what we
to
do
people
to
about
try
it.
and end it.
But,
Yeah.
you know, like say they put
They're
me and
gonna
you
be
in
led,
charge,
yeah.
I try and do my best to make everything not affect people in any way whatsoever. Especially just because it's like me, like you know, I always like to bring things back to Game of Thrones, but like Jon Snow being the king would have been the best option
Right.
because he didn't want to do it, and he would have just done the right thing. But the problem itself is the state of Westeros, right? Jon Snow would be the right guy at the right time, but as soon as he's dead, another Joffrey could come
Yeah.
up and now wield the power of the state
Yeah.
against the people. Same,
Strong man he's a strong man. He would have made good times, which would have made weak men. Then that weak
Right.
man would have rose up and made
Yes.
terrible times for another Jon Snow
and,
to
the,
rise
and the
up.
point of anarchism is none of these people have a right to do
Yeah.
any of that. You only have a right over yourself and like your own land and whatnot, and your self-determination.
Yeah.
No one else could do it. So like libertarian anarchists don't even like democracy because they're saying like no one could tell me what to do.
Right.
Even me choosing why should I choose someone who then tells me what
Yeah.
to do?
Yeah, no, I agree. That's pretty interesting.
It's an interesting. I'm still like getting into
Yeah.
it. You know, I'd like to talk to a libertarian like more about this stuff and pick their brain.
It'll probably be easier to have one of them come on than someone.
Yeah, they'll
from,
talk to you. Yeah,
than a
They'll-
progressive.
Dude, libertarians believe, like on my land, I believe in capitalism, and I'm gonna do what I want. And you're my neighbor. You could be a full-blown communist. I don't care. You have every right to do that. It's just like don't come on my land now
Yeah.
and tell me, what to believe or what to do. Like as long as
Yeah, everybody minds their own business.
you do what you want to do, and I get to do what I
Yeah.
want to do, and you don't. Yeah,
I
within
always like
reason,
that, yeah.
obviously, within reason. Like pedophilia and all these other crazy fucking things are not morally. There's still like a moral norms that are
Yeah.
believed.
So what did you bring up over here?
I was looking for something before. It was about the defund the police, but this is something I wanted to. I found before that I wanted to just mention when we were talking about the military. Sorry, I know you gotta look around the camera
Yeah.
here. And going back to before, I was talking about with the military and just like how it's all just taking good people and throwing them in a wood chipper for the most part. I saw this and I retweeted this on our Twitter, and it was a 2019 article in the Washington Post. It was opinion, and it said and it's written by Michael G. Vickers, and the article starts with to avoid a wider war, Iran must be deterred with limited U.S. military strikes, and it's a picture of a drone, and the guy, right? So basically, this guy is advocating for us striking Iran with drones in order to, what was it that he said here? In order to deter them, we have to strike them with drones. And this guy wrote this article. That's his opinion. Look into who this guy is. The Honorable Michael J. Vickers joins the BAE Systems Inc. Board of Directors. This is in 2015, right? He wrote the article in 2019. What does BAE Systems do? They build unmanned aerial systems. So the guy who's on the board of a company who
That builds drones.
that blow up people is writing opinion pieces in the Washington Post saying we should, in order to deter Iran, they're so evil, we have to deter them. We need to buy more drones and blow up people with them because it's the right thing to do. That's what the Washington Post is allowing into their opinion piece. And look, it's America. You have the freedom of speech. If that's your opinion, fine. But please, you mean to tell me that opinion or that freedom of his own thought is not influenced based on the fact that he's on the board of directors of a company that profits off of building drones?
Yeah, I know you hate Q, but he had that old saying. He had a quote where it was like,
Q is genderless.
Whatever.
You just assume Q's gender.
the letter. You wouldn't. It's all connected. You wouldn't believe how deep the deep state runs. Like, to the point where, like, I almost believe, like, the janitor at the school down the street might be, like, connected somehow. Like, this is the way it works. Like, you get somebody who is the board of director for something in the military, and they write this, great opinion piece on it. They're basically advertising.
Yeah.
They're advertising.
Yeah,
it's all connected.
I get it. The Q
it's
shit
insane.
is too off the wall. And
That's fine, but
it's
like
not,
that's how deep this runs.
I understand.
That
I
a
agree.
military company would put somebody in the
I
Washington
would agree. You see, I agree that corruption runs deep and is involved in. Yeah, I got an Amber Alert too.
Yeah. Should we
Let's shout it out, yeah.
Chevy Malibu?
Amber Alert, Muhammad, 4-year-old black male, last seen in a 2010 blue Chevy Malibu. I mean, it's going to come out tomorrow, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Take a look
You
around.
ever see that YouTube video where like everybody gets the alert and they're like black Honda and everyone in like the neighborhood starts running out of their houses and running up and down the streets? They're like, what do they want you to do with the Amber Alert? And these people like made up like a video and they took it to the extremes where they're chasing black cars down the street and stuff, trying to find a missing
I think
person.
the Amber Alert's a good thing. It's
if you see
a way
it,
to notify the Amber Alert's for children.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm not making fun of it. I'm just saying.
But the video was. Though.
Yeah.
You could maybe some random person sees that car and calls police.
I hope so.
Find him, pull him over, and find the kid. Who knows?
So something I wanted to. You want to keep talking about the military or
that's my
added pieces?
Train of thought. What we were talking about. I was saying about Q. Like like there's corruption. Obviously, we're talking about it all the time. I don't believe the over the top. Everyone's a pedophile. Maybe they are, maybe some are, but for the most part, there's just a lot of greedy fucking people.
Oh, yeah.
And they're using their leverage and their connections and whatnot to make more money, and it goes very deep, up to the highest levels, etc. Yes, I agree with that 100%, but I don't think they're all blood-sucking vampires, or that Donald Trump is the savior. He's just another
Don't matter to
scumbag
me.
rich person looking to screw people over. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
But
that's something So something that we're going to start bringing up in a later episode before we get into the topic that I wanted to talk about is we were talking about this, and it is so suspicious that these election audits are gaining steam in their respective states and counties, but nobody's covering them. They're literally, the buildings are being broken into. Fucking.
So you say no one's covering them, right? But
no one's covering the results of what they are finding so far. They're recovering that they're covering that it's happening. They're covering that, weird things, and lawyers are being sent down there to prevent this and that, and judges are giving out orders. But they're not covering the fact that Arizona went through a bunch of military ballots and they all 100% came out Biden. No one's going over the fact that in, I think, Pennsylvania and Georgia, the Dominion voting systems just didn't recognize Republican voters. They didn't accept their votes. They just
haven't had time to fact check any of this.
Right. So these are a lot of
fact check the captain.
These are a lot of things that have been stated lately. I haven't looked into them either because I kind of feel I really don't see this turning around. But it's also at the same time what we were talking about is Trump is under criminal investigation.
For what now? I mean, he's always under criminal investigation.
The new
everything.
DA, the new district of attorney in New York, basically campaigned on, I'm going to put Trump behind bars.
Well, that's a good ticket.
And
that's
she
going to probably win, yeah.
shockingly won. And now there is a whole... I'm calling it a witch hunt for now because there's presented no evidence that... So now they're going after Trump's organization, Trump Towers, all his business dealings.
I gotta be honest with you, he probably did do some illegal shit. He's a fucking rich guy.
Exactly.
That's
which
what they all do.
leads me to say, like, he's probably guilty of something on that count, without a doubt. But now they're just going through his stuff, looking for a crime instead of a crime being reported and then investigating. They're going to investigate him until they find a crime.
It's done for political motive, yeah.
Which is also scary because, Biden administration's in, and right away, 5 months later,
prosecute your opponent.
Yes.
Yeah, we get to now what they call the Banana Republic.
So
phase.
This isn't being covered that widely. A lot of people
The audit stuff.
don't really, not the audit stuff, the criminal investigation of Trump's organization.
Maybe because nothing's going to come of it.
The way I feel about it,
themselves up.
because the media, this is too juicy for the media to jump on and paint Trump in a bad light. Because if this was a year ago, it wouldn't matter. They would already have said he's guilty and then brought him to trial. Just like all the impeachments, where they came out with nothing. They were all over this. Right now, they're dead silent about it. I think they're holding on to this. So if anything comes out in the audits, Trump's a criminal. It'll be like this rat race.
Or maybe they'll hold it for when he runs for office again. They could be like, hey, look.
Yeah, that too.
Right.
I
Giuliani
feel like,
did with
Yeah.
the
With,
laptop, right?
yeah.
It's political gamesmanship. That's fucking dumb. I hate that.
dude,
That's
but
what they do.
I really think the media is holding on to one story. So if another story breaks, they have this story to cover it up with.
Maybe.
These are two topics that we will eventually look into. I think the audits are really gaining some steam now that are worth into us looking into them. I just still feel like it's going to end up being one of those, release the cracking things tomorrow type of deals where it's going to be like Georgia has all these ballots. Yeah, this was false and these weren't counted. Then nothing's going to happen.
That's what like random loons are saying on Twitter. You know what I mean? Like there's an actual official audit going on
I know there is.
by bipartisan independent people, and like that will come to a close, and we'll have an answer, and the answer will be there was this or there was that or there was, you know what I mean? The thing is, let me put it this way, the way I see this thing, right? Your QAnon folk, are they going to believe it if they say there wasn't any?
Yeah, no, they're not. It's just going to continue.
They'll
be. That's why I didn't want to get into Let
me finish making my point. And now your leftists, are they going to believe it if the people come out and say,
no,
they cheated and Trump should be the president and he won? No, it doesn't even. The results don't even matter.
Exactly.
Maybe they will to me and you because we'll try and sit here and like break it down, like fairly.
Yeah.
But to most these fucking crazy people on both sides, they're not going to care. They're going to continue believing what they believe, and that's again what makes what General Flynn said so fucking stupid. Because maybe he doesn't maybe he has his finger on the pulse, but you mean tell me he doesn't understand that people are that dumb that they're going to just believe whatever they're fed?
He's doing it to get leaning into his celebrity, and that's what has held me off. The criminal investigation is still something relatively new. This audit's been going on for over a month now, and this is exactly why I haven't even read up on it. I know OAN has been reporting on it. I've been catching all these stories about, things, people breaking in, judges trying to prevent, the ballots from being delivered and stuff like that. A lot of weird stuff. But to me, it's just going to be no matter what the outcome is, I really feel like if it got turned over, the way things are right now, they would just, okay, Trump won, cool. Biden's still president. Nothing.
There's actually that's true too. There's no mechanism to rectify that.
Yeah.
The only mechanism to impeach the president is impeachment. To remove the president, or he has to die, and then there's still a line of succession that has to happen. It's not like. Are they going to impeach Biden because there was some fraud?
But they would vote against him.
But even if they, here's the thing, say this, okay, we're talking theoretically here, YouTube, right? Say there was some thing that happened and it proved some stuff, and
a certain guy now is actually won.
His claim is not valid. What happens, right? Well, you could say, we should impeach that guy. Okay, we have an impeachment trial. He's impeached. Who becomes president? The vice president.
Yeah.
So there's no mechanism for that. So it doesn't even. It literally does not matter. It would only be like a moral victory for people.
I don't see where it goes for it. And like you said, either way, no one on the opposite side is going to believe the results. That's why I haven't looked into this. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
but it's just getting too interesting.
You sent me an article. You mentioned some news place that was talking about how the doors were left open or the place was broken into, and I went to the website and it's this fucking crazy MAGA website. I'm like,
no, it wasn't.
Yes,
it was. Gateway Pundit.
They're super right wing, dude. And I'm like, I gotta believe it. I can't even. I don't want to waste my time reading this.
It was an article that I found and I read.
I'm like, I'm looking at it. It's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get a real nuanced point of view here.
I mean, look at the Washington Post.
Yes, but I'm pointing out both sides. You know what I mean? Like, yes, I understand what you're saying. But as soon as I see it, I'm like, I don't even want to read this because
you got to read something.
Biggest, I know, but their vested interest is in this narrative of the election was stolen. So if you're not they're not reporting the news.
They're
reporting
their
agenda the same way that Biden is. So I don't even want to waste my fucking time. I mean, I did read it.
It's hard to do.
Right, I did read it anyway just to try to get an understanding of what you were going to talk about here. But that sucks. We just need people to talk about the reality and the facts, not what their agenda is. And
doesn't matter anymore.
Both sides are doing it. Both sides are doing it.
Yeah, this all ends with the downfall of the media. We have to get rid of the media first.
A hot civil war.
Yeah,
people are actually shooting at each other because they've driven each other so crazy.
Which would be insane.
Yeah.
But so the article that I wanted to bring up is kind of like another "I told you so," but I won't really take the "I told you so" part of it. Former BLM leader sounds off on group's ugly truth. So we've
I mean,
always
this is something we knew, but go ahead.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this is an I told you so moment. So the founder, he was a founder of BLM in Minnesota. Where the hell is his name? Oh, Rashad Turner is his name. And he went on to talk about BLM's ugly dark side. And now we always said, yes, Black Lives Matter is true. This movement we always had the problem with this movement because they have such notoriety, they have so much money being donated that they actually have the power to help the black community, which if that's what they were doing, this would be a great organization, but it is a communist organization.
Marxist,
It
right.
flat out
and we've said it. We said it at the beginning.
Yeah.
When we were doing our research into who was leading the organization, and all of them are trained Marxist. They believe in Marxism. The Black Lives Matter symbol, the fist, is the communist fist. They just co-opted it for their own logo. And this is what communists do. They take, they say they're for the common people, in this scenario, it's Black lives, and we're going to help Black lives and we're going to help the people. Communists say, the worker, we're going to help the worker. And what really ends up happening is the party, the elites in the party get all the wealth, they hang on to it, and they dictate how it goes, and they use it for their own personal gain, etc. So this is why we didn't need to fight anything in the Cold War, because these people would have ruined themselves.
Yeah, and he goes into the what was her name who just stepped down?
Patrice Khan colors.
Yes, because she bought
she bought
$4
all the
million
houses.
worth.
Right. Where did they think that money came from? So giant money laundering scheme.
So this is the only statement I'm going to read from it. He goes, I believed the organization stood for exactly what the name implies. Black lives do matter. This is what we've always agreed on. If this organization could improve black lives, this would be fantastic. However, after a year on the inside, I learned they had little concern for rebuilding black families. They don't do anything for their community. People are just donating to a communist fund that
the party members could take money from and buy houses with.
That literally lies about taking care of black lives. There's nothing that BLM stands for that has to do. It's a business at this point.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wanted to bring up too, it's Pride Month. All these big name corporations are switching over to the rainbow flag on Instagram. What are these corporations doing for the gay community other than changing their Facebook profile? You're doing nothing. But sheep are, if you support this crap, you're sheep.
Right.
You know what I mean? What I'm saying is definitely a very unpopular opinion, definitely frowned upon. But Black Lives Matter is not build a school. Just build one, do something to say that's what you do.
There's this guy I follow on Twitter. His name is Unholy Rome. That's his Twitter handle. And he's a communist, straight up, right? That's his ideology, whatever. But this guy, all he does is do community service. That's literally all he does.
Okay.
Every single day, he's like soup kitchen, doing something on the street, getting clothes for people, helping poor people that need help. That's literally the only thing he does. He talks about communist shit here on Twitter. That's fine. That's his freedom of speech. But he's at least putting his own 2 feet on the ground and doing something to help people.
Yeah.
He's not, scamming
Taking.
everybody and taking and he's a communist. So I'd say he's a good communist if there is such a thing. Maybe his economic ideology is misguided, but he is actually a good person trying to help people. The people who are, but he's not in charge of Black Lives Matter or anything. He's just this guy. The Black Lives Matter is literally just a money-making scheme for the elites of the organization, and they know exactly what they were fucking doing.
To be honest, there was that. So before the election, there was that story saying that Black Lives Matter is connected to Blue something. What? Oh man, it was some organization that funnels money for Democratic donations for the president.
Act Blue.
Act Blue, yes. And so they were saying that Act Blue was the founder, was the charity organization or whatever that BLM would donate their money to. So when you would donate to BLM, you would donate to Act Blue. But it also just so happened to be the same thing where Joe Biden was getting all his money from. They funneled it right into his campaign. How do you get 80 million votes if you sit in your basement for 9 months? You know what I mean? It's been a scam from the start, people. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know, it just,
But if you want to actually help people,
Yeah.
man, you can't trust any structural organization.
Yeah.
You have to do what Unholy Rome does.
Yeah.
Get your ass on the street and do it
you got to
yourself.
volunteer yourself.
Yeah.
And it's sad because, like, you know, I'll be called a racist because I don't like the way Black Lives Matter uses their funding for themselves and that they're not trying to help black communities. And I'll be called a racist for that when all I want in
So
reality
actually
is
help
to
those communities.
is for Black Lives Matter to do what they set out to do.
Right. Yeah.
Not rob
But
people.
that's, you see, that's, you know, sorry, Unholy Rome, but that's what communists do. They distort language. They make everybody out to be an enemy, so that, you know, the few elites, you know, could control everything. And to be honest with you, like, we, you know, for the most part, we live in a capitalist society here, and they're doing the same fucking shit. But just like the oligarchs, I guess you could say, is. But for the most part, at least, there's not this overwhelming genocide that has occurred.
right.
You know,
Yeah, it's-
here, like Stalin killed how many, you know, hundreds of millions of people over the years. That's not even as widely advertised as the Holocaust is. Like, Stalin also killed millions and
Right.
millions of people, and it's not as, yes, it's negatively looked up, and not at the same level Hitler's genocide
Right.
is. Why? Well, you know, because people like communism a
Yeah.
little bit, so they try and hide the nasty parts of it.
Yeah. Hey,
That's a
well,
good part to end it, I think.
you know, that mass genocide always starts right after disarming the population. So
Right.
make sure you stay on your Second Amendment rights. Use all your Biden bucks on guns and ammo. That's a joke, people. I'm not telling you to go out and buy guns. I'm only messing with you.
I think we're getting banned for this one, buddy.
Yeah, definitely. That's the end of our career, people. So I guess you don't need to subscribe now. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us. Any final words?
Nah.
Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. As always, thank you for tuning in and listening to us rant and rave. You can find us everywhere Donald Trump is banned. Facebook is at 2DoMen. Instagram, at 2DoMen podcast. Our Instagram is at 2DoMen_podcast. The link tree in our bio shows all of our social media, and you could hear us where all major podcasts are listened to. On all the streaming services, please, the reviews, the 5 stars, give us it all. We need it. We love it.
Give it us all.
Yeah.
That was tough. This is like the third thing we've recorded so far
Yeah.
today. We did do 2 reviews, which will be coming out later in the week. So that's why Captain's having such a hard time with the
Yeah.
you know, with the whole spiel here, because he's repeated it multiple times now. So check those 2 out. They're going to be about the Army of the Dead on Netflix.
Yes.
And about Mayans
Season 3.
Season 3. So 2 TV movie reviews. Check
Yep.
those out
Doom Nation, thank you. Adios.
later.